Andrew, thanks indeed for coming in. And I suppose let's just start off with the big one here, the fact that funds must have now a sound default investment strategy. And I suppose that's important to any pensioner whose investments suddenly go pear-shaped.
Yes, that's right, exactly. So there are three regulations, as you say. The first one is to make sure that people are invested in an appropriate portfolio that will deliver long-term growth. And really what that regulation is saying is a lot of funds already have got a default investment strategy, but the regulations are aiming to tighten it up, make sure that it's properly disclosed to the members of that fund, and that it is suitable for their long-term savings goals.
Presumably we've seen some bad cases on that front.
Yes, unfortunately there have been some examples where people's savings have not been properly invested and where scams have resulted in losses that they haven't been able to recover. But by and large, the retirement industry actually does have pretty solid default investment strategies in place already. So as I say, it's really about tightening up. It's not that this is a major change. I think the other two regulations are slightly more, require slightly more changes to what has been happening in the past, but this is already pretty much in place.
So, I mean, the question when you look at these laws and the fact that they are implemented or come into play today, you know, you ask the awareness out there in terms of people knowing how things can go awry depending on the rules. I mean, you mentioned in the press release the retirement benefit counselling unit of these funds. It was always there, but do people use them?
So, I mean, that's an example of something that wasn't always there. Some funds had counsellors that could help people to make good decisions, but now the requirement is every single retirement fund has to make available a retirement benefit counselling service or people that are available to provide information that will help the members make good choices. It's not necessarily advice, but it is information about the choices that they have when they leave a fund, whether that is at retirement or even when they're changing jobs.
And that's the big one, because when you're changing jobs, I mean, often there are question marks as to whether or not you take out your money, slip into a different fund, but that requires a certain degree of discretion and, I suppose, considerations on when and how you would do that.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. So when you change jobs, generally there's a lot of stuff on your mind. You know, you're starting a new job, you're trying to pack up the old job. It's a period of change. And a lot of people don't have the time, and in fact they don't even know where to start in terms of figuring out what to do with their pension savings. So I think a lot of people end up not preserving, in other words, taking their money out and spending it, not because they necessarily want to do that, but because the alternatives are not easy for them to access. And really what this regulation is saying is, let's make it easy for people to just leave their savings. So they leave that job, they leave that fund, but they can leave their savings invested and they can continue to grow until retirement.
And Andrew, ultimately, just to sum up, I mean, we've had a poor savings culture as it is in South Africa. We have had finance ministers and the like telling us that South Africans need to sort of really repair that culture. And I suppose the Act is sort of aimed towards seeing that that is achieved, I would imagine.
Yes, that's right. So, I mean, the three things are the three important things that really make a big difference to people's retirement savings. Having a good strategy in terms of the investments so that your money can grow, making sure that you leave it there when you change jobs so that it continues to grow, and then when you get to retirement, taking that pot of money and turning it into a monthly pension. In other words, not blowing the capital because it's such a nice large lump sum that you've never seen before in your life.
Andrew, thanks very much indeed for coming in. That was Andrew Davison of Old Mutual Corporate Consultants.